Hey guys, Adam Dorn, aka Motion Worker. I'm really excited to be back doing another video for Sire. You know, the last video that my buddy David and I did went ballistic. Like, we couldn't imagine that this many people would watch that video and the basses would really get into the hands of so many great young musicians. It's been really exciting to meet bass players all over the world and interact with you guys on social media. And just to see, like, from like the highest level musicians to, you know, an 8-year-old girl in my neighborhood that was just like, I want to play bass. Like, you know, seeing these instruments in the hands of these kinds of people was really exciting. And it brings me to this bass that you're looking at right now, because much like Sire kind of blew up the bass world with the V7 fretted basses, here's the V7 fretless. And I think you guys are going to be really excited about it, because not only do you get the incredible Sire craftsmanship, but you get the incredible Sire price, which honestly cannot be beat. And I can't stress enough that, like, this company is staying true to its word. It's keeping things affordable for young musicians to get their hands on. But I gotta be honest, as like a pro, this is my go-to fretless. I've owned this now for about 6-7 weeks, and honestly I just pick it up and I can't stop playing it. And fretless isn't even like my main thing. There's something about fretless that's really magical. This instrument, this is the V7 Alder model. It's $499. And honestly, if I was a student, which I kind of am when you hear me play, but if I was a student or a pro, for $499, and I'm going to play a bunch of stuff and I'm going to show you a lot of different things, it's a no-brainer. Like, I feel like the fretless is going to have a renaissance based on the fact that these guys made such an incredible instrument at such an affordable price. It's kind of like, why wouldn't you want one? So without much more ado, I want to take you through the electronics section. The good news is they're exactly the same as the V7 fretted bass. It's the same preamp, the 18 volt, amazing preamp. Let's go through the controls. This is the volume. It's a little knob on the top here, and on the bottom there's a tone sweep. It goes from basically a darker sound to a lighter sound. It's going to come into play on the fretless bass a lot, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Here is your pickup selector. When it is to the front, it is the neck pickup. When it is to the back, it's your bridge pickup, and there's a world of difference in tone between those two areas, so I'll get into that later as well. The next selection is a treble knob. This is going to be one where there's a lot of tone that you can get, and there's a lot of grit and growl that you can get. Much like the V7 fretted bass, the treble is going to be something you're going to want to be a little careful with, but it's fun. Don't be too careful. There's a lot of tone in there. Next, we get into the preamp section, and I'm going to start with this being the mid-range, and this is the top rotary switch similar to the master volume. This will be your selected frequency, and on the bottom is how you sweep through the mid-range frequency. And similar to this tone here, it focuses on the mid-range, but it kind of goes from a dark to a pretty bright, punchy sound that's not totally trebly, but it's expressive, and you're going to spend a lot of time crafting your tone in this mid-range section when your preamp is on. And how do you turn on your preamp? This little guy here, this switch is the on-off passive active preamp section. In its down position, the preamp is on. And lastly, that leads to the bass. The bass is only active when the preamp is turned on. Be careful with the bass. It's really powerful. Even slightly from the middle detent selection, the bass really kicks in. This preamp, I don't know how they do it, but this preamp is super powerful. I've done a lot of sessions now with my basses, and I don't really boost the frequencies that much because there's a lot of power in there. So have fun exploring. That is a basic breakdown of the electronics section. Let's get into some playing examples of the fretless bass. I want to kind of explain a little bit about the fretless bass, because I think a lot of times people pick it up and they just go, and it's fun, and you know, it's kind of like you can make, you know, sound effects, but there's a beauty to playing the instrument in different ways. And I want to just show some examples of what the instrument sounds like, but also maybe this will pique your curiosity about the fretless in general. I like playing a lot with the front pickup basically off. So I set everything to the back pickup. That's more of like classic sort of like Marcus, Jocko. I mean, it's really the sound that Jocko sort of pioneered and invented, and a lot of other guys really jumped on that because it's really expressive. It kind of sounds like this. It rings through. Like if you're playing with a drummer and a keyboard player and in a trio, that bass tone really cuts through in the mix. So let's turn the front pickup back on, and I want to show you a little bit about, remember earlier I explained this sweeping tone. I'm going to make it a little darker, and I'm going to cut the treble off. And you can almost get like an upright bass sound. So here's how that would sound, and I would play more on the neck than actually back here on the pickup. Really warm, round, resonating, expressive tone. Just warm. Here's that back pickup again. It's expressive and warm, but that it kicks. It's a sound that comes through in you know, especially on a bandstand. Here, kicks in. That's with no treble. Now let me bring the treble in and play a little more with the front pickup sound. And hear that treble? The mids are boosted a little. I'm going to roll them off and just show you. Everything's set now to the very original detent normal position. I mean, just a lot of growl. Now, meanwhile, that back tone always was in the darkest position. Now let's hear it. Totally different thing. Just a subtle difference in just the rolling this tone to its full position. The treble really comes through. Now, with everything set in its detented position, I want to show you guys part of the beauty of fretless bass is starting to add a little bit of effects. I got a reverb pedal here, and I want to show you just how expressive I'm going to play a little bit with a chorus to show you how expressive, you know, this instrument compared to a fretted instrument can be with some chorus on. Pino Palladino is someone that actually is probably more known from younger players for his fretted work, but the entire beginning of his career was on fretless, and he was a pioneer in using the Octaver pedal. I have this MXR Bass Innovations Octaver pedal, and I want to play with it on a fretless and show you just how ridiculously fun and cool this thing sounds. because it's something that's unique to Fretless. Like, you play the bass a different way based on using this pedal. And I think as you get your technique and your tone and your tuning together, and you get to maybe another level with the instrument, this will be something that you'll turn on and you'll play, and you won't want to stop using it. It's so much fun to do, and it's really funky. So that kind of sound I like to play on the neck. And I'm going to turn the pickups on so that they're mostly on. You're basically getting an octave lower and an octave higher, depending on how you set up the pedal. Check this out. And that vibrato and the bending of the string. I mean, worlds of fun playing this instrument in that way. You can't do those things with a fretted bass. So you can start seeing how fretless might be something you want to add to the arsenal. I know that I play a lot of examples that are maybe I sound like Jocko or I sound like Pino, you know, and I sound like a specific style as a bass. You can play any style. You know, throw distortion on it. You know, there were comments on the last video where it was like, oh, you're just playing funk stuff. It's like, hey, you can play any style on these instruments. They're that versatile. You know, you can play rock, you can play country, you can play, you know, just because I don't play them doesn't mean that you can't play them. You know, I'm just showing you how the bass sounds. So there you have it, the V7 fretless. Really enthusiastic about these basses. You know, Sire had this goal to get these affordable instruments in the hands of bass players worldwide, and it's happening. And that they thought to do a fretless model isn't surprising. Marcus is a phenomenal fretless player, and really, if he's going to have a line of basses, this is the fretless that I know he would play. And I hope that you guys can tell, you know, from the different playing examples and just the breakdown of just how the bass works and what you can get out of it. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys around the world about how you feel about this bass, because you should get your hands on it. All right.